Mining job hunt video. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and today we're going to do a job collection video for the sponsor's website and their mining jobs to apply for page. So this is the page that we load up all the jobs from around the country that we think you should be applying for once you've completed either the DIY Intro to Underground Mining course or their Work Ready package. So let's have a look at the jobs that come up. Now, there were quite a few jobs come up, and in today's video I am also going to have a chat about a question that I got asked about bullying in the workplace, so we'll have a look at that as we get a bit further in. But to start with, I just want to talk about being ready to go for when the jobs come up, because this is a really good example of that today, because there's quite a few jobs come up. And if you're ready to go and you've already done the training and you've got your resume ready, this is the time that you're going to strike, because there's lots about. So that's entry-level truck operations, Olympic Dam. It's the Indigenous one. This is Northern Stars entry-level truck operation. This is Kalgoorlie based, but you can get yourself there quite easily. Aries in New South Wales, entry-level truck operation. You can apply directly to Aries from the back of the sponsor's training, but I thoroughly encourage you to apply for them through the front door as well. Underground operation, South 32. Now, I've had a look at this ad already, and it's your typical crew ad where they want experienced people, but like we talk about every week, there aren't that many experienced people. So why does a company like South 32 only want to take on experienced people, or any of the other mining companies for that matter? The reason is that they want somebody that they can just drop in the deep end, because whenever they go through and have to hire a bunch of new starters, they end up turning over 3 and 5. And what ends up happening is that it costs between $20,000 and $30,000 for each new starter that you hire, because when you onboard somebody into these gold mines, the way the legislation's set up is that they've got to be able to prove in a court of law that they've done everything they can to train you and keep you safe. And that means on-site equipment tickets and on-site procedures. So just to get you to the stage where you're sitting in the truck doing the training to work out whether you still want to do it or not, you've probably spent 2 or 3 weeks doing a whole heap of paperwork, and that costs a lot of money to get everybody to that stage. Normally costs between $20,000 and $30,000 per person. So by the time you do medicals and get them to site and all that sort of stuff, it's just it costs a lot of money, unfortunately. And so if you're turning over more than 50% of them, then all of a sudden hiring a bunch of new starters doesn't sound like a really good, smart idea. Everybody much prefer experienced people. But the problem is that whenever we're in a boom like we're in at the moment, anybody that's got any time on a truck, they don't want to be doing truck driving anymore. They want to move up. They want to move up into service crew or into pace crew or whatever they can get themselves onto. Some people even like to try and jump up straight up onto charge up. I've seen a few nippers do that in the past. They've bypassed the truck and service crew because they had a fair bit of go in them, or they did a little bit of time on service crew, and then it was straight into charge up, because charge up's a fairly physical job. So here's one in Queensland. So that's why they're looking, labour hire companies are looking for experienced people. Everybody's looking for experience, but they need bums in seats, so they've got to take the next best thing. And the next best thing is somebody that knows how their mine works, because if you know how the mine works, then they can leave you alone, and that's what everybody's after. They're after somebody that can be a productive member of crew that they can leave alone to get on with their job. And that's easier said than done, unfortunately. So there's trainee truck driving with Goldfields. They've got 2 ads out. They've got a trainee truck driver ad out, and they've got a experienced truck driver ad out. If you've done the training, I would be applying for both of them. Drillers Offsiders Tasmania. As you can see, we've only been through a couple of pages, and we've probably already got about 12 jobs up. So there's a lot around, and it's all being ready. if you're ready, you can be applying for all these jobs at the moment. It doesn't take you long to get yourself ready either. Don't feel like you've missed out. Unfortunately, like I've been saying, they go through a lot of people. So if you just go back and have a look through the job hunt videos in the past, and you can have a look at them on the playlist that we've got on the YouTube channel, or you can look at them on the underground training in the blog section, the video blog section. Shotcrete operators, logistics, service crew, jump operator, flamenco, mining, indigenous BHP, Port Augusta, site surveillance, diamond drillers, underground, cable bolt operator, raised bore offsider, page 4. Service crew, leading hand, red path, lots of service crew jobs around. Underground new to industry, backfill operator, production operator. Alright, so I'm just going to have, before we look at the next page, I'm just going to have a look at this question because I'll start answering this question. Someone recently quit their job as an offsider due to being mistreated by the drillers. Can you make a video about bullying in underground mining? Okay, so yes, they do have a problem. Well, they don't have a problem with bullying. There is bullying that goes on, but sometimes it's not bullying. Sometimes it is people not being able to take instructions and people not being able to get on with the job. That's why if you have a look at a lot of the offsider ads, they tell you that you have to be able to take instructions. So they want people that they can actually, that will actually listen and, not be yelled at. The other thing that happens too is that if you stop picking up the pace and you're not making it, then the pressure really comes on for you to do the job and get on with the job. And a lot of people can perceive that pressure that comes on you as bullying because they want results. And sometimes this job can be the first job that people do that they actually, tangibly have to produce results all the time. So it's one of those things where it's hard because they go through so many people, and so if you do make a bullying complaint, sometimes it's not taken seriously as a new starter. Sometimes it's just lumped in with, it's just another person that hasn't been able to cut it and they're being a bit, salty on the way out. But, there are legitimate cases of people getting bullied all the time. It happens. I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen. It's like any other workplace around the country. There's a lot of people that aren't that wonderful in it. But again, it's also a result-driven workplace, and there's a lot of pressure ramped up for you to perform. And if you're not going to perform, then you're out the door. And unfortunately, sometimes people can perceive the ramping up of pressure as bullying when it's just the expectations that they want for you to perform the job. Normally, if you do have a bullying problem, you can take it to the safety rep on the crew and you can divulge that to them anonymously, and then the safety rep can take that through to the shift boss or the management, and you can get something done about it that way without it actually coming out. But like I said, a lot of people, the pressure that's on everybody to get the job done can sometimes be perceived as bullying. And if you're not going to be up to speed, you see, it's a big one with truck drivers and bogger operators, with the communication that they have between them. And sometimes the communication can be very short and it can be almost perceived as bullying. But in the reality is the truck driver's just dicking around and won't get in the right place and won't take instruction. So where do you go from there? Where you get a truck driver that's not taking instruction at all, and it's just wasting everybody's time, and it's causing you to lose loads and causing the company to lose loads. If the truck driver goes up and tells them that they're being bullied by the bogger operator, and the bogger operator comes back and says that the truck driver won't get into the right position, and they're difficult to load, and they're costing lots of time and money and all that sort of stuff, it doesn't give the employer a lot of places to go. Now, how some people communicate underground is, different. There's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of yelling. One of the reasons that there's a lot of yelling is because it's a hearing protected place. And I don't know about anybody else, but I always used to have my earplugs in, except if I was at crib. Even if I was in a vehicle, a ute, or driving around, or even talking at Smoko, I wouldn't take the earplugs out, just leave them in. And one of the reasons that I did that was because, I've seen a lot of guys get really bad ear infections with earplugs over the years. And the best advice I got right at the start was just to take take some sets with you, but put a set in at the start of the shift, take them out at crib time, have crib, put a second set in, and leave them in all the way through to knock off. And don't worry about pulling them in and out. Just, if people are just going to have to yell at you if they don't want to have their earplugs in, and you're going to have yours, they want to put theirs in and out, that's their business. But yeah, they're better off in your ears, and that's why people yell underground, because they've got earplugs in their ears. And sometimes, if you haven't been in the workplace before and you're new to it all, and you've only been down there a couple of weeks, and you don't have your earplugs in but everybody else does, then everybody's going to be yelling at you. Not because they're actually yelling at you, it's just because that's the volume that they're speaking at to hear themselves and hear everybody else with earplugs in. And people can perceive that as being, hostile, when it's not really. It's just having the earplugs in. So it's simple things like that that sometimes can get their wires crossed as well. But like I said, yes, there is bullying, and there's avenues that you can take it through. But yeah, as a new starter, the big thing is that you've got to make it to that 6-month mark. So yeah. There's still a fair bit around. I'm going to do another page and then call it quits a little bit early on this one, because the Western Derby is on this afternoon and I have to edit this video before then. Always a good game. Expression of interest at CSA. Okay, so they're looking for a whole heap of degrees, people. Alright, so I think we'll give it call it quits after this one, because there was a lot of jobs on the first couple of pages. And as you can see, if we come over and we do the prices, you can see gold is up at almost $2,950 an ounce, so only $50 off only $50 off 3,000. And then you've got copper is there at over 13,000, and nickel is there at almost 35,000. So it's a really good price there. We come over to the coal price. It's at $137 a tonne US, which is a good price. That's over $200 a tonne. It's stabilised a bit, which is really good for everybody. And if we come over to our map with all our mines around the country that are producing gold and the base metals for all the batteries, you can see there's a lot of activity in the middle of New South Wales, so you can drive in, drive out of Victoria for that. There was a number of jobs in around there. There are a number of jobs that were fly out of Townsville and Brisbane up to this area around Mount Isa and Charters Towers. There are lots of jobs in Tasmania. Olympic Dam had advertised for entry-level truck drivers in South Australia, and there was a bucket load of work here in WA. So just make sure that you're across all the information. You can do that using the sponsors training, the Intro to Underground Mining, the DIY package. There's all the info that you need in there to get yourself a mining job, including full instructions on how to redo your resume to make it mining friendly. So you just take your current resume and plug it into the template that we've got. It makes it mining friendly, so it's going to get read. And there's interview prep questions in there, and like I said in the video before, you can apply directly to Aries Resources through to their HR department with the email address in there. So that's the video for the week. I hope you found it informative again. Like I said, there was a lot of jobs around the country, and it's all being ready, and I hope I talked about bullying all right. You know, it's not on, but like I said, there's a lot of pressure on you with these entry-level jobs to get up to speed as quickly as possible, and sometimes that can be perceived as bullying. Whether it is or it isn't depends on the situation. But yeah, there's unfortunately that scope of it around. And the other thing with the reason why the employers have to do so, the reason why the employers like to hire experienced people is because of all the onboarding costs. If you're not retaining more than 50% of your new starters, so you're losing more than 50% of your new starters, and they're costing you 20 to 30 grand each to hire, you know, it gets really expensive real quick. And you can see why everybody's looking for somebody with a bit of experience, and that's you're in with the training. That's where you can make yourself look really valuable to the companies by being able to talk to them about how the mine works. So yeah, if you've I hope you found that information helpful. If you could like the video and share it around, that would be wonderful. Thanks.